Why neighbor?
I believe so.
Me admire from afar.
Very powerful.
Only say me. Only him say he is one communicator. Me share he cry. Me nyap anytime me who ne flyer biya say or me try say me monitor no.
Good.
But as a worker, so mama raho. But a man raho.
Farming becomes like gambling. I remember last year after our farmers had planted, the rains were good. And then at a certain point, the rain stopped falling for almost 10 weeks, and many farmers lost their crops. And so our intention is to focus on irrigated agriculture, and the northern region is going to get its fair share of the initial 10,000 hectares of land that we're going to put under irrigation. Tamale is also suffering a shortage of water, perennial water shortages, and that is because the population of Tamale continues increasing exponentially. And so at every point, we must plan to bring more water into Tamale. And so another priority project
Abusia konkonku TV suni mamu nyina kwa abasa so mama hyiehie biwe na enneso yeso nsem nam mampanyi John Dramani Mahama dane da nyina wa de foforo peso de boa oman na nwene na oman no etumi esi ne dada mu ne fa ne ntoma pa efra sese nhihye ya akuafo betumi anya na etifi mantem ne wo matumi adua no baye ne duduo mu no wo mo de ho nsem atutudwa mampanyi kwa pro ho na ase apro ode ho nsem atudwa na afi nso enurada ketia eduma mpotem ho chese eja eto stores ahodo binum no ane eno nso so ode ho nsem atutudwa na Kwadjo Juantua ebisa se NDC fo se Mahama kwa hwan na ye next person amode no eba ese 2028 candidate ya chese Ghana fo enhwe ni mu kwa visa MPP fo de yenim se ba omi ama Kennedy Japan ene beba se sisi ayi de ofofro nyanyi ni ti enso se nipa mienu na omo anka se omumu no omunim se esi ama araba beba na NDC so hwan na eba wei eye kosa tie wona ne mpamfo etrase obete ehon nsem abomodna se wadaro mawutie na uhwe obe subscribe ya share wa like na wa comment.
Farming becomes like gambling. I remember last year after our farmers had planted, the rains were good, and then at a certain point the rain stopped falling for almost 10 weeks, and many farmers lost their crops. And so our intention is to focus on irrigated agriculture, and the northern region is going to get its fair share of the initial 10,000 hectares of land that we're going to put under irrigation. Tamale is also suffering a shortage of water, perennial water shortages, and that is because the population of Tamale continues increasing exponentially. And so at every point, we must plan to bring more water into Tamale. And so another priority project is to expand the Tamale water supply. This time our intention is to draw the water from the south of Tamale, that is from as far as Yapi on the White Volta. Yes, I do mediano. And I say Mintu Anamong Embeshe Niesi. Na Ampanso Ayareho, and if it's a share and Yoma say and for stores are Ashi na Ayadia, Ayo Hawi. And Nedika Meda Fire Service for us. And modern boy, ya omwetimi abre ejano anwase na yewie ano a na yahwe na ema ni si enso ade baako a fire for aka kire me ne se ombedru ye no sen na ombetimi awuremu etimi akodum jano eno ya ade baako a ha omuye na wo hwe a yedwam bebre saa netie enti eja tomu a sen na fire for betimi edru ho etimi edum jano ntem no na abeye ohaw ama omo enti o si yefde di wesu anyansa na yehwe yedwa no da ye planning ye se na be ya bibi kosi a na etimi aso ano ntem enti ye ni minister ni edwadifo no ebeka ya ka kire nadmu se ombehwe na omumpe emwabi emfa mo omo kakra ye ni chief of staff nso bekasa enti nya Asante regional minister eni ombeka no na ya hwe emwa ebetimi de abo omo se na be ya omo so ombenya yi comfort kakra.
Why neighbor?
I believe so.
Only the on your was.
Pendulum meet you.
Yes, Nana.
Obiso obeso to see people nti ne boy.
Nana. Salam you be a me admire from afar.
Very powerful.
Onu say me onim say he is one communicator. Me shehe kra me nya anytime me hu ne flyer bia say or me try say me monitor no.
Good.
But as all cast our mammy raho, but a man around ho. You be adapt to. I'm around you be adapt to. Yes.
And this imagine.
Yes, you be adapt to. The Korean woman here said, and I only say political parties, you know, the pardon and the but say I can't say me. Me say no because we to be say or chain mathematics. It's my friend is say. I can't say me. Say you take it cue from what the Salam Americano. In a sense, say, we say ni pardon the party, but then mostly young political parties in yaba bema ni refie ho. It's at the end of the day no. Sankofo na omo boy the party the ba bemu no. Ubedra. Na fe no wo refi no wagya no wechiri enti no eya obi hyenimu okay sesisi no waban aba eduru se ye campaign de yenya nkofo bi mo kofo mo koye ejuma no eduru se adode de na ba na e wo se ye so mo boa ye me ensu enya baabi ko gina no eno so mo fi ye enti no wo se na pile enti ehyemimu ehyemenu ehyewe mu se enya ye certain na se mo di o machi so sa ye 10 a ye enya 100 no eti you see say at the end of the day no gradually no na party no form gradually na party no form enti sempanifo na ewo mu no ansori anyina enhu sa balances na ansoma wani mra ho so no na party ne ko eno bi na ato CPP no see they have very fine brains in CPP say they make enya menko most of the communicators they look up to him because they pray a follow the pan. Yeah. I was shocked obi edena only say we are obewie no obesane me ne way ni nyina. I was like they have very fine brains but the issue is now how do we integrate South media ne ade that's a Salam so original say or your campaign ewo ama CPP now that followers 1,000 ni nyina start say CPP nya 1,000 votes. But the question is, how do we treat these fine brains? We don't treat them well. It's at the end of the day, no. Okay, so a near man buyer. It's a near man buyer. So you have to one. We are trying to never ban a campaign. But in our own small ways, you know, you bet me, IT senior. But
let me ask you a question. Then we move on to the IGP.
Yeah.
It's very important. The entire Michelle say is about political party. We need a strong political party.
Yes.
You understand?
Yeah.
Because they are when the MPP for ye say Anyasa John Mahama on transit. Say APP and NDC funds between MPP for almost about doing. Now, she said they're not Frankie King. Henry, sorry. There's an idea of say build a certain succession plan.
Yeah.
And this has been my worry. For almost 8 years or something, you end up projecting John Mahama than any other candidate.
Yeah.
And that's a fact.
Yeah.
It is always about John Mahama. You saw John Mahama as a smaller god. It is John Mahama everywhere. It was brand John Mahama. Whilst the MPP4 kept on allowing other people, at least you can find maybe Kwabene Japan, you can find Kene Japan, you can find maybe a Duchum, Brian Champon, whoever. Who say they went to a certain competition almost on Pebaumia. Now, Monkrofui, Osha Mahama Timinya 91, Umuma Kenyano, and then Ametri. In MPP, there was Kene Japona, Utiminya 1/3. Utimi who say, okay, base B, and we say, we bet me a backup. But that is not so in NDC. Now John Mahama is doing his bit. I know so much Asia. There's a Asia doing Ketiebi, there's Julius Debrebi, there's Nkofobi, but all these things so Bokrana Emunye do as compared to John Mahama. Are you not afraid of the future of MPP? NDC, sorry.
Nana, Mefa Kwenya we so fancha the original minister. Dr. Frank Amwakwe and the original chairman and the executive chairman and the
junior and Uti.
Oh, okay. It's a doctor. What say Frank and Rinka was it who senior was Nana, they all can no correct.
But now then senior or MPP ma won see you. Remember now your communicator.
Also ba nka ba NDC nka ba na ke bia KM.
Obe adapt.
Ke ba adapt na ka ya ma KM. Ti dey ba.
Coincidentally, flyer no Eddie kan ba no. Diaboati Henry NDC communication
spiritually no
me hu ya me yare
it will be friend
I will be share dem I didn't understand until some editing me
we are sorry
we are
sorry
and I mean say man no maduro so
we are sorry
spiritually no we don't buy NDC enuntra ntimi ebo so
this you
nana ampa. One thing about NDC is and no na de bia meka be bia me ko bia nso me gina bia meka NDC produce leadership but the system no ana a project nipa no say what follow NDC system no kakra you see say enye wan kasa na be sorry say me pese me ba be di party nanim but as time goes on now once a party no will begin to I feel when you see say the system itself will project somebody. It's after baby Fabiano, but it's a bow wedding, over fire to a bow wedding, over fire. That is how
but based on experience, they said about me also fire. In Ghana, it is not easy for a one-time person, based on projections and based on what has happened. President Betcher say it is not easy to say one-time person about boom. Wababe winning.
Very good.
So you don't see that kind of future.
We see that
after John Mahama.
We see that, but Ninyana boils down to how Obesha won here, man. Now, my mema a typical example. President John Dramani Mahama. No nisi nimukra. Say, check the trajectory of NDC.
The likely people.
No one can cry.
Okay.
But what happened in 2008? Not all free parliament say Okotwani school so. Okay. All of a sudden, and you see MFN mayor running mates. Okay. No on can crowd. But say okay at that time no, there were some names to be a person body. Now I'm running a political scene in the name of NDC.
Okay.
But at the end of the day, no, John Mahama from nowhere came into the picture. And then all of a sudden, boom.
But one said John Mahama before then, had been a deputy communication person, a communicator. Not to do now, he's a likable person.
He was a likable person in the front of the media because not a media person, they engage them. Now, the system.
So then it becomes easier to confront him, John Mahama.
So, I mentioned I say the system itself, project. Until you see, say, a start here. Say, obefaha na diwe yebo obefaha na diwe yebo obefaha na diwe yebo. Let me give you another example. Somebody like Pakwesi Emisa Ata uti nidi apart from enipa kakra bia no mo the financial sector no mo nim say owo mu no even the NDC core members kra no majority of them didn't know anything about Pakwesi Emisa Ata.
Mamimbusa respectfully. So when him say yemfa ni senka nyame mfa samba ka John Mahama efri mu a na ye Pakwesi Emisa Ata kobelusu
and kobelusu
because he doesn't have
that charisma in the political scene. But it was time. As time goes on, he will learn. So,
but that is when Ebia will lose to say the Dr. Baumia
Lucy. I say time MPP did Dr. Baumia by 2008. Now ye kebi say onye agro na ni suye. Eti me dru baby kra no bon say oye we kaka. But prior to 2016 to 2020 elections, look at Dr. Baumia then and then Dr. Baumia as
so
that
then
time.
It feeds into the narrative that it builds up. But this is where you want to also break another.
Yes.
And yes, sir.
Yes.
Because I'm not sure so for 4 years.
That be say my PP ni CPP tranche.
And I say John Mahama so 4 years.
Yes. It's already 4 years now. It's a make us say when it comes to NDC now. Oh dear. As time
you
goes
don't see
on,
that one as a difficulty.
No, it's not a difficulty. This is not a problem because NDC.
Who replaces John Mahama? No?
It's not a problem.
Really?
Yes.
Yes, because in a sense,
always say in politics we have something called political strategy.
Okay.
And then say that political strategy in the war, and then political marketers and also to be very good at. It's your FM. Look at adverts mobile show so, but there are some other media stations who Kumasi and Musea they find it even difficult to get 2 adverts.
Yeah.
Because your marketing team is fantastic. It's at the end of the day, no. Obia tona de no him so the buy Israel FM. Ebeb one. It's obeba.
Yeah.
Adentina the other media houses no omunya bi. Sana NDC akwa yo.
Okay.
So the moment the pakro no e be projecting no, you see say all the attention Obonse be free or John Dramani Mahama so, and then it begins to shift towards that person.
But Baumia, and so sorry, say me engage you more because it's very interesting for discussions. Baumia immediately a boni dino. Send attention to do na free na kufa do so akoso, and yet Ghanaian said we don't like it.
The question is, who is that person who is coming?
Okay.
Nipana Oban or your wine.
James say din ketia na Debra na se hwan na mu boni dia.
Membo bi edi.
Ma me body.
Ntino eno ne owo de. Ntino, ya fa ne say me penduloki meti hey. Ya fa ne say me ana bia light na to me so say me ba be DNDC ani. You see say as time goes on, o de show is obete. Nana Juantua pendi. Obefa pendi. So you see, at the end of the day, no, the picture created in the people's mind is that pendi. Now, people will now begin to go and find out who is that pendi. It's that pendi, no. That is where the political marketers comes in.
But more politics, and it doesn't even take 2 years to market a candidate to
no, even no.
And easy.
Nana
Kufuado Kobe 2-3 times and said no do. It's not easy because you will clone kitchen me or radio
anyone more. And I make sure say it depending the pakrono and then the way the brand will go. Me more product be edi. By me no ye editum say your product be by Ghana hand mu say less than 2 months. Now baby abefebia now be with that product no. Because the marketers were good and then how on turn that particular product. Your product be so sustain anymore. I train for more than decade but still you that product.
Say more replacement mo betimi the 1 year cra turn.
Less than 1 year. NDC
to replace your Mahama.
Yeah, well, the fine gentlemen and fine brains. Oh say no. Yatuaba, I found out John Dramani Mahama 2 months and some weeks be per hour buying. It's too early to begin to project the person. But oh dear, and I may say, Yamaya,
right?
I feel in query, you see, say the person will come out and then Yenina, everyone was a media house, Marcus NDC, where the right choice are more than I say,
I say, drink it here.
So.